Okay. So again, I want to thank you for taking the time. Here's just some of the topics we're going to be discussing. Again, my name is Drew McElligott. Derek Jansen here as well, the current regional commissioner. I'm the former regional commissioner. I'm still helping out in a few different areas. By the end of this presentation, we'll show where you can find us if you need to send us an email, but also hopefully there's some answers that you'll have, questions you'll have answered tonight, as well as an introduction into our websites that have various places to find answers as well. I'm going to break from the presentation just briefly to show you our website. And you should see right now what we call our public website. This is actually a World Cup bracket challenge that we're going to be introducing once the round of 16 for the Women's World Cup comes out. And
Drew, we're still seeing the presentation.
oh, sorry. Apologies. This should be better. So you should see the public website now. And this is just one example, one of the pages. We in addition to your kids having fun playing soccer, selfishly speaking, we'd love for your kids and your family to enjoy the game of soccer in other ways. And this is just one example. We also do special events throughout our soccer year, such as tailgates and discounted tickets for Chicago Fire matches, Chicago Red Stars matches. Those are the two professional teams in Chicago for soccer. And this is just more of a secondary component, but something that we do try to encourage loving the game of soccer, in addition to loving playing soccer. On our public website, you'll also see the top header with some different areas where eventually we'll post game schedules for our team play, and various other pages like this registration page, which includes a FAQ with some common questions that parents have, especially if they're new to our program. We also have to the right here upcoming dates and a calendar section. And this is one of the two places that you'll find the most critical of dates for our programming. The other place being our Facebook page. You should now see our Facebook page, and this is specifically set on the events section for our Facebook page. So here you'll find, again, the most critical dates for the upcoming fall season. Whether you have kids on a team or kids that may be in our playground soccer program, Picture Day is Sunday, September 17th. The times will be released later this season, and more details as well. But just for a general framework of when these dates hit, you can go to either the Facebook events section or our public website. The Facebook page is facebook.com/AYSO300. And I just want to point you to this because there's a lot of websites that we throw at you. The one that many of you are familiar with is what we call our team website. And I'm going to there right now. This is where you would have registered your kids if you have completed registration already. And this is where you set up a family profile. Eventually, this dashboard that you see will list posted game schedules in this section. If you're a referee, what schedule you have for refereeing games, as well as team roster information once that information is posted. For me personally, I'm also seeing how many referee volunteers we have because I have certain privileges or permissions as an administrator. I'm also seeing how many head coach volunteers we have. Just to give you some sense, we have we're forecasting roughly 230 to 240 teams in our core program. That's our U5 through U19, meaning 4-year-olds through 18-year-olds. And I'm highlighting this head coach volunteer and especially the referee volunteer because, as you see, we don't have 230 to 240 head coach volunteers or referee volunteers. we need enough head coaches for the number of teams that we're going to build. And ideally, we also have enough referee volunteers to where we could assign one per team. And obviously, these volunteers, these are parent volunteers who are assigned to a team for their own kids. So that's a sly or not sly way of saying we could use more, desperately need more head coach and referee volunteers. And even assistant coach volunteers would be better than nothing. So that's my light pitch or not so light pitch. If you do have a player in our core program on a team, please consider helping out as a team volunteer. Okay. And I just want to, Derek doesn't know this, but I'm just going to show a quick peek at, let's see if I get this right, our new website. This is a preview. This is not completed yet, but we are working on updating our website into 2023 and beyond. And what you see is just a quick peek at what that's going to look like. Much of the same information, hopefully a little better organized, a little more user-friendly, and you'll be able to find game schedule, clinic schedule, which are clinics are included with registration, and just various other information to help our parents out. One thing you'll see with our public website is information, for example, about each division. We call it division guidelines. It's basically the rules of each different age group or division. And you could just click through, select through these things, and you'll see everything from how many kids are on the field at once per team, what size soccer ball, which is a common question for new parents, for their, what age, what size is age appropriate for their kids, and some other policies and rules. And that's again in our division guidelines section. Okay, I'm going to go back into our presentation, and obviously again, we can get to any questions at the end of the presentation. So let's talk briefly, and you should be able to see a page that says who we are, AYSO, as I look.
There we go, now we got it.
Okay. And so let's talk briefly about who we are, what we stand for. AYSO stands for American Youth Soccer Organization, but affectionately, we also like to consider ourselves all your Saturdays occupied. Pretty much nearly all of our activities are on Saturdays. In terms of games, we do have U5 and U6 divisions. That's pre-K and kindergartners who are playing only on Saturdays with their team. We do have clinics that they can participate in during the week. At our U7 and older divisions, that's first grade and older, those teams are practicing once a week. And then again, having their Saturdays occupied with matches versus opposing teams. And of course, our playground soccer kids, most of our total 7 sessions, most of those sessions occur on Saturdays. AYSO is a national organization, and we are Region 300 and have been in this community for going on 42 years. AYSO's the largest, in terms of total numbers, soccer club in the country, and we are one of the largest AYSO regions in the country. Generally speaking, last year we had roughly 2,800 kids in our program. We're obviously, large size and scale. That means there's a lot of work for folks like myself, Derek, and others to pull this together. And thankfully, we're not alone. We do have many, many volunteers, whether they're on our regional board or simply volunteers signed up to stripe fields, paint fields, help with uniforms, and the list goes on as far as different volunteer opportunities. AYSO's mission is to develop and deliver quality youth soccer programs, promoting a fun family environment built on the 6 philosophies that are listed at the bottom of the screen. In terms of our values and culture, like every great organization, we have nationally an AYSO vision statement and a mission statement. And again, our 6 philosophies. Generally speaking, these philosophies dictate nearly all of our decisions as an organization. We have full conviction to these values, and we ask and frankly expect our parents and our kids to adopt and exhibit these same philosophies. We know from experience that these are the recipes for a positive soccer experience. We cannot guarantee that your kids, that all of our kids, that my own kids are going to love soccer for the rest of their life, but that is something that we strive for. We strive for delivering these philosophies to our kids, and we strive for a positive soccer experience. We can't look in a crystal ball and know that soccer is going to take for every player, but that's what that's our where we set the bar, frankly. So briefly about these philosophies, just getting a little more detail. Everyone plays is actually a mandate that every player plays that's on a team 50% of every game, every match. We are striving for not precisely equal playing time every game, but for equal playing time over the course of the year. We know that kids aren't going to enjoy the game, aren't going to improve at the game if they're not out on the field playing the game. Obviously, with our playground soccer, that's a non-team oriented program for our 3-year-olds and some 4-year-olds. But for our team play, everyone plays means every player plays at least 50% of every game. We balance teams as best as we can, our volunteers do, and we do not build teams based on school or town or village. We build based on primarily balanced teams. We have other considerations that we use. For example, if you have registered your kids for a team division, there's a new section that says buddy request. And so that's something that we are considering, and we're looking to accommodate where we can. For every player that requests a buddy, we pair them together on a team. But otherwise, and again, primarily, we're building teams, our division coordinators are building teams based on creating balanced teams, because that ensures each Saturday, hopefully, ideally, competitive and therefore fun match. We're trying to avoid blowouts. Either team doesn't win from a blowout, and certainly they can't improve their soccer IQ or their skills unless it's a competitive match. We have open registration, so we don't have tryouts for our core program. We have some families that live in Lamont, believe it or not, because they like to play with their cousins who live here. So we don't have boundaries in terms of allowing kids to play. All we ask is ideally the kids have interest and enthusiasm for the game. Open registration and everyone plays are exemplified by our VIP program, which is for kids with mental and physical disabilities. So open registration is another of our philosophies. Positive coaching. We have coach training, and one of the focal points that we spend time on is what it means to be a positive coach. You as a parent, even if you're not a coach, we still ask you to be a positive coach, whether it be playground soccer or U14 high school, or you name the division. We want to support the kids, encourage the kids, and be positive. Good sportsmanship, that starts with the adults. We are the models for our kids in terms of how we behave, how we act, how we treat each other, how we treat the referee, how we treat the coach. We need to show mutual respect for all of these individuals, including our kids, showing mutual respect for each other, their teammates, and the opposition. And then player development. We have numerous ways in which we try to enhance and improve opportunities for player development. Our coaches are doing that in terms of our parent coaches, as well as the United trainers that we have that we'll talk about in a little bit. They're running clinics for any registered player that has an interest in more soccer beyond just the team that they're playing on. So these logos are just examples of our other programs or our different programs. And I mentioned VIP for special needs players, playground soccer for 3 and 4-year-olds, and then United, we'll talk in a little bit, for kids that want more soccer, more competitive soccer, and more opportunities for player development. In terms of who we are, folks like myself, Derek, other board members, no one's an employee of AYSO. We are all volunteers. None of us get paid in any way other than smiles from kids. We do have paid staff in the form of our United trainers or coaches, but they are the only members of our staff that are paid individuals. We're otherwise just as busy as everyone is with families, work, and other commitments. We do need more volunteers. When you are the size and scale that we are, it takes a lot of shared help and support. And so that can come in many different forms. We do ask when you register each family to check a box for a volunteer role. We are not asking for 2-parent families. We're not asking for both parents to volunteer and do something, but we are asking for one parent per family. And so whether that's, again, helping out with uniforms or helping out with field painting or a host of other things, volunteering at picture day, etc. These are all things that we can't do alone. We need as much help as we can get, frankly. And what we'll promise you is that your time won't be wasted. We are going to put you to work. And that's not a threat. That's more of a promise that we do value your time, just as we value your time tonight. If parents do want to get more involved at the regional level in terms of our leadership, we do have many needs there as well. And we do have regular board meetings for nearly every month of the year, except for December and January. If you go to ayso300.org/board, you'll find a schedule of our board meetings as well for this year, as well as a list of our board members or board support staff. And it also lists where there are vacancies. We're working on filling some vacancies currently with our division coordinators. They're the folks that help form our teams. But we have many other volunteer roles related to our board that we're looking to fill right now. And again, you can find those on the public website. And our next meeting is August 7th. We meet in person at Irish Times in Brookfield. That'll be August 7th at 7:30 p.m. And generally speaking, again, our size and scale, sometimes we need someone to produce flyers for registration. Sometimes we need flyers for our clinic schedule. Sometimes we have agreements or contracts that it'd always be nice to have an extra attorney lying around to help review something. So there's other needs beyond just the quote unquote soccer oriented type roles. In general, who we are, we're parents. We're parents on the sideline as spectators. We're parents volunteering to referee the match on the field. We're parents volunteering as coaches. And we all have a role to play in making this a positive experience for our kids. This is the image that ideally everyone is just constantly reminded of. You know, when there's a disagreement or dispute on the field, this needs to still be the focus. The kids on the field. That goes for their safety. It goes for their experience. It goes for, for example, not getting in arguments in front of them. That's not the experience we're going for. And so it's on all of us to fulfill this role and basically be who we are, the adult in the room. So like our kids on their team, the AYSO team of parents, whether you're a volunteer or a spectator, is we do all of these things. We support each other, help each other, protect each other. We do our best. We're not perfect, but we keep everything in perspective. The kids having fun and ideally walking away from the soccer field knowing that they did their best and had a good time. Let's talk a bit about where we play soccer. We are, again, a pretty sizable region. That means we play in a few different towns. Technically, we're in 5 different towns. We have fields that we play on in Brookfield, typically, LaGrange Park, LaGrange, Western Springs, and Countryside. And again, we don't build teams based on town or village. And so you may be a Western Springs resident and you may have a playground soccer activity in Brookfield or vice versa. So every season is a little different in terms of what fields are available to us. AYSO does not own any soccer fields. We do own soccer goals, but we are forced to be responsive to what fields are made available to us by each individual park district. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is roughly what you're looking at is a map of the different fields that we play on for different ages and divisions. And, we're talking about roughly 40 plus soccer fields that AYSO is marking and measuring ourselves as volunteers. And we're creating these soccer fields at the different parks that you see on this map. Some of these are parks, some of these are school district parks or fields, etc. Sometimes you'll hear some words and acronyms, and I just want to make sure that ideally folks are aware of what those mean. SRP, for example, is Spring Rock Park. That's a park in Western Springs. It's a very sizable park and one that we tend to use as a base of operations, in part because if you see the red circle there on the screen, that's the shed. The shed is a storage building owned by Western Springs Park District, and they are gracious enough to allow us to use some of that space, some of that shed for our different storage needs. There's also, as you can see, many different soccer fields at Spring Rock Park. We have a year-end picnic at the end of the spring season, which takes place at Spring Rock Park. And so there's a very good chance that at some point over the course of our soccer year, you will be there at some point. Many of our volunteer opportunities or needs tend to take place at Spring Rock Park as well. Let's talk a little bit about our soccer year. And our soccer year is about to start. We start our soccer year in fall of 2023. Many of you, most of our players are registered not just for one season, but when you register, you have an option to register for fall and spring. So our soccer year begins in fall. If you're in a division with a team, U5 through U19, then the team that you're assigned to prior to the fall will carry over into the spring season. So if your child is playing fall and spring, he or she will be on the same soccer team with the same coach and same uniform as they had in the fall. So please don't get rid of those uniforms. Please hold on to them because you'll need them in the spring season. And obviously with our playground soccer families and kids, that's a little different because it's non-team oriented. So let's talk about this upcoming season, fall 2023. and kind of what's to come, whether you're registered currently or you have not yet registered. So in general, because many parents are anxious to find out, when will I know about what team my child's been assigned to, finding out about practice schedules, finding out about the game schedule. So in mid-August, so we have upcoming on August 1st is a deadline for registration. We'll keep registration open beyond August 1st, but beginning August 1st, all registrations will be waitlist only and subject to availability and roster space within the division or the playground soccer sessions that you're looking at joining. And so that's the waitlist deadline. Mid-August, after August 1st, our division coordinators will start to go through the process or start the process of forming teams, and we'll also start the process of confirming playground soccer sessions for those players in terms of day and time and field location. So by mid-August, our division coordinators will be done with the team building, and by mid-August, we will be posting and notifying all parents, all families, that the team assignments are posted, and that's where you'll log into our team website at AYSO300team.org, and you'll be able to see at that point who your coach is and what the team is that you've been assigned to, as well as our roster for that team. Our head coaches for U7 and above divisions, again, U7 is first graders predominantly. Our head coaches decide and determine ultimately when and where the team will have a recurring practice during the fall season. So they are choosing a day, a time, a field location for a 1-hour practice, one per week. And that'll be a recurring practice throughout the entirety of the fall season. When the spring season comes around next year, they will do the same thing all over again. We'll push the reset button on the practice schedule, and the head coaches again will choose their day, time, and field location. And again, part of that is because the field sometimes will change in terms of what's available to our league. Once again, for U5 and U6 teams, those players and those teams only get together on Saturdays as a team, and they begin their Saturday with a 30-minute practice followed by a 24-minute match versus an opposing team. So the practice schedule in effect for U5 and U6 teams is actually what we call the game schedule. And so that will also be released and posted in mid-August. I know for folks new to the program, I just threw a lot at you, but we'll certainly be able to clean that up or answer any questions you may have at the end of this presentation. Just while we're talking about the calendar, as I mentioned at the start of this presentation, we do have special events like Chicago Fire, Chicago Red Stars events. This picture is from a few years ago, but it's when we had 2 Chicago Red Stars players visit us and run an abbreviated sort of camp, but also photo op and autograph session, and that was at the Max in McCook. So we'll obviously notify folks on via email, on Facebook, at the public website, when and if we have different events like this, and give you as much advance notice about them as possible. Let's talk briefly about the weather and cancellations and whether we're playing, depending on the circumstances, and where to find out if there are any closures or cancellations that may impact your Saturday or your practice day. So we are pointing parents to our public website and to check anytime there is inclement weather, and understand that we obviously can't control the weather. We can't control when weather hits. And so there are going to be times when a storm will be coming into the area, and the coach or referee will need to make their own call in terms of whether to practice or play in that moment at the field. But generally speaking, we do have a field status process and that includes updating our public website homepage by 7:30 in the morning on Saturdays. If there are any fields that are closed by the park districts, any fields that are not playable for that Saturday. And so if there are any cancellations or closures in terms of games on Saturday, that will be posted on our public website by 7:30 in the morning. If nothing is posted by that time, or your field that's scheduled for your game schedule is not shown as closed or canceled, then it's not canceled. And it is, again, possible, however, that it could get canceled at the field. So we do our best in terms of notification, but there are times, again, where certain situations may be a little bit out of our hands and out of our control. Just keep in mind that these types of updates are manually updated, and myself, others, volunteers that help run our league and update our website and those sorts of things. We have kids in the program too that are playing on Saturdays, and so we have our limitations. We are volunteers, and we have other activities that we're out in the fields ourselves at. But by 7:30 on Saturdays, we will update the website if there are any closures or cancellations. During the week for practices, we will do this by 3 p.m. On any day where there is inclement weather. And just from a safety perspective, all coaches are reminded of this constantly, but you all should know too, whether you're coaching or not. Anytime there's a sign of lightning or thunder, play should be suspended immediately. That's regardless of whether it's a practice or a game. And in effect, if it's a game or practice, you're going to be canceled for the day, because our policy is that play can't resume until 30 minutes after the last sign of thunder or lightning. So that pretty much, in most cases, is going to rule things out for additional play. Again, as I mentioned, with our public website at AYSO300.org, there will be, in addition to field status, game schedules posted for all U5 and older divisions. In terms of division rules, I'd mentioned earlier in the presentation on our public website, a place where you can find our division guidelines in terms of the rules of play, the size soccer ball, et cetera, for your child's each division and age group. We do have specific rules in terms of age eligibility for our different programming, and those are listed here. In general, we have only actually two divisions that are co-ed, our U14 division, which is 7th and 8th graders, and our U19 division, which is all high school grades. Every other division we have is divided up, boy and girl division. And I should back up, our playground soccer program is co-ed, of course, as well, because there are no teams in playground soccer. And this is, again, a screenshot that you're looking at right now of our division guidelines, this one for our U5 and U6 division. And you can check that out on our website in more detail. Returning to, because many of you are going to have younger kids, our U5 and U6 division, again, the experience starts with a 30-minute practice session run by your parent volunteer coach, and then immediately followed by a 24-minute match versus an opposing team. You will know about your coach in mid-August. You will possibly hear from your coach in early September. And this is simply because there are not those weekly practices during the week prior to the season start. If your coach is following our advice and our guidance, your head coach will try to schedule a team meeting and maybe an informal practice in late August. But keep in mind, we have some folks still vacationing potentially in August. Our opening day is Saturday, September 9th, I believe. And so you may not hear from your coach until the very start of September. And our coaches will be the ones distributing uniforms to their players again, that's what we encourage at that first team meeting. In terms of what you bring to the table as a parent for your kids, they will get jersey, shorts, and socks from their coach. You will need to provide shin guards, which are required, as well as soccer cleats if you choose to. Soccer cleats are not required. They are recommended, but they are optional. Shin guards are required. And more on the jerseys and uniforms. We have a uniform coordinator who can be found at uniforms@ayso300.org. I don't think any reason to reach out to them right now, but as we get uniforms, we want to make sure every kid has got one. Obviously, we'll also have opportunities to exchange short sizes at our picture day, and just a note about the sizing. Sizes are not customized per player. We get basically for each age group a certain number of this size and a certain number of that size, and then leave it to the head coach and the parents of the team to allocate those sizes as best as they can among the kids on the team. For shin guards, for those new to soccer, shin guards are supposed to go under the socks, as the case to the right, the photo to the right, and not on top of the socks. So just a bit more about safety. Safety is our number one priority with your kids. That's why, for example, at U5, U6, we've done away with metal goals. We actually have collapsible goals that we use that are still keep it a good soccer experience, but it's impossible for kids to hang on those goals. And that's a real important improvement from a safety perspective. No jewelry is permitted by any players on the soccer field, and that includes starter earrings. If your child is getting their ears pierced, please make sure it's not done at the start of the season, because they are the policy is you cannot tape over the starter earrings. And for those of you who know, the starter earrings are supposed to stay in. And so what that ultimately is going to mean is your child won't be able to play on the field if they're not going to take the earrings out. So that's a situation that we hope we can avoid, but it certainly has happened in the past. So no jewelry whatsoever permitted. No casts, if you broken arm, no casts are permitted. And for our older ages, where we do still have metal goals, please, as parents, be vigilant in terms of making sure that kids are not hanging on or climbing on soccer goals, because that is a major safety hazard that we want to avoid. And I mentioned our severe weather policy, and then there's information on our public website about concussions and other types of hazards at ayso300.org/safety. And again, going back to that triangle with the kids in the middle, the referees, the coaches, and the parents, we all have a responsibility to ensure our kids' safety. Certainly that includes the league leadership, but we obviously can't have eyes on all soccer fields. We need all of our parents to take safety seriously and to just make us aware if there are any issues that we need to be aware of. All right, let's talk about our different programs, and one of our core philosophies being player development. At the very earliest of ages in playground soccer, that these sessions are run by our United trainers. These are extremely talented professional coaches that have who have certification of different sorts, have played the game and love playing the game of soccer, and they love coaching the game of soccer as well. We have roughly, I believe, 11 United trainers returning to our program this fall. They run our player clinics, which are included in the cost of registration for all players, and they're optional but available to all players Monday through Thursday during the season. They coach our United teams, which I'll talk about briefly in a minute, our United Academy teams, And they, again, as I said before, they help run our playground soccer program as well. Our academy, United Academy, starts at U8, which is basically second grade. And those are extra teams in addition to our core team. So players on our United Academy teams also play on a parent-coached core team. And for an additional price, they're getting more training and more professional training on their United Academy team as well. So a player that's in core is also a player that's on United Academy is also playing core. And so they, in effect, have a core practice during the week, an academy practice during the week, and then a game for each of those teams as well. So two practices a week, 2 games a week. If you have a child that's eligible, meaning entering second grade or above, and you have an interest in academy, we may still have room for more players, and you can email academy@ayso300.org and someone will get back to you. Our United program or United teams, those teams play outside of our league and are playing other teams and other basically travel soccer circuits. And that begins in effect at 5th grade and above. And for information about that, you can email united@ayso300.org. And I'm going to take a break from you hearing my voice. And Derek, is there anything you'd like to add relative to United Academy or our United teams?
Well, I think this is where maybe we separate ourselves from maybe what you think of AYSO historically, right? Because we are such a large region, because we have such scale, we are able to offer this as another level of player development, right? So, like Drew said, started in second grade, you can have an additional professional coach practice and game every week. These are coaches that come over from mostly from overseas. We have coaches from Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, England, Ireland, other countries in the past, right? But very soccer first type of countries. These are young men and women that their goal is to be professional soccer coaches, right? And so we bring them over, and they're available to start coaching your kids in academy as early as second grade, and then even our clinics earlier than that. So it's really part of that next level of player development to refine skills. We do want to keep the players in core for some time. So frankly, they just get more touches on the ball, right? The more opportunity they have to have a ball at their feet, the more they're going to improve. But the academy and then graduating into the full scale United, it gives that next level of competition available for your kids.
Great, thanks, Dirk. And I would just add that many of you may have kids at much younger ages, so they may not be eligible for this at all, for Academy or United. Having said that, it is important for us to welcome you into AYSO 300, and we want you, selfishly, ideally, to be aware of this programming. When your kids are of the eligible age, if they're still into soccer. Again, this won't be for everyone. There is an additional cost for these different programs, but we are keeping it as affordable as we can and as accessible as we can. One of the ways that we do that is we actually have many of these coaches, our United trainers, are hosted by local families in our backyard. And so we are at times looking for families with an extra bedroom and a little more space and willing to take that on. And there's some benefits. You got a little one-on-one training potentially at home. And it's cool having these guys and gals as a host. We've been super fortunate, just exceptional individuals since we've had trainers in our program, which we're going on, I think, 12 years now, having these trainers help us out and make basically our program and our kids' experience that much better. So And again, if you have any questions beyond this, we can certainly help answer those down the road.
Yeah, and I'll say hosting a coach is an unbelievable experience, right? To expose your kids to new cultures and really just make a connection for life. We hosted multiple coaches over the year, and really, I think it was about an hour ago. One of them, who we hosted about 4 years ago, is like, "I'm going to be in Chicago next week. Can we meet up for dinner?" So you really make connections for life. It's an
Yeah,
incredible opportunity.
and our former director of coaching, he unfortunately left us this past year. He left us because he got hired by Chicago Fire. And so not as a coach but in terms of part of their outreach program. And so, he's a guy that started with our program several years ago as one of these United trainers, and now he's moved on to Chicago Fire. So it's cool seeing that progression, both for them and for us as an organization. So again, just a summary of our programs. Our core program is what most of you all are involved in currently and registered for currently. That's team-oriented, starting at U5, which is 4-year-old pre-K, all the way up to high school level. Our United Academy is where you would have that potentially that second team starting at U8 and above. All of these programs, you still have access to our clinics and our United trainers through those clinics Monday through Thursday during the season. We'll have a clinic schedule posted on our public website as we get closer to the start of the season. Our VIP program is for kids with mental or physical disabilities, and we have volunteer buddies that play with our VIP players. LTHS is Lyons Township High School, and we are fortunate to have a relationship with those teams and players where they are coming in, the players for the boys team one season, players for the girls team, the high school team another season, and they come in and have fun and keep it a great experience for our VIP players. And those are Saturday afternoons during the season. And then again, our playground soccer sessions, those take place mostly on Saturdays, but also on Tuesdays and Fridays. A little bit more about playground soccer. If you're a playground parent, you will receive a confirmation email as we get deeper into kind of mid-August, and just confirming where and when your sessions take place, your kids' sessions take place, and also some of these types of details that you're seeing on the screen, what to bring, what not to bring, that sort of thing. Here are the kits or uniforms for our United teams. And now just to talk about some of the ancillary programming, we do offer camps throughout the soccer year, including soccer camps. All of these are at an extra cost just to cover our costs, but summer camps, we have different holiday camps like Thanksgiving, typically the Columbus Day weekend, we're offering a camp during spring breaks, etc. And go to ayso300.org/camps to learn more, including registration links for our upcoming August week camp. So finally, as we wrap things up in the presentation, I just want to show you again, we have too many websites or web pages that we point you to, but it's all intended to keep you informed ideally and help answer some of your questions without relying solely on emails and loading up inboxes. But our team website, our public website, those are both resources for finding out more information, especially with the team website as we get closer to the start of the season. And then, of course, social, our Facebook page, Instagram, we're kind of active there. Twitter, maybe not quite so much, but we try to stay active. Again, we're all volunteers trying to live our lives at the same time. If there's any social media folks out there, we could always use one more person to help post stuff on social media as a volunteer. All right, so as we close, again, Derek Jansen's on the call. He's at rc@ayso300.org. You can find me monitoring a couple of different emails, one of which is the registration at ayso300.org. We try to compartmentalize folks, the questions that folks have as best as we can, just to be efficient with our volunteer time in terms of folks helping to run the league. So if you have registration questions, that's where you'd send them, eventually uniform questions. And then especially on a safety perspective, if there's any issues that you see at the field during the season, please let us know. Email us at fields@ayso300.org. Okay, so I'm going to stop let's see. Okay, so hopefully you can see me now. And if you have any questions, I see there's some stuff in the chat. Let me just look at those.
That was just me, Drew.
Oh, okay. Well, Derek, is there anything else you want to add before we open up Q&A?
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add is I know we talked about a couple different, volunteer roles, whether it's the board, helping with social media. Obviously, that is needed, but I would highly, highly encourage you to consider volunteering as a coach or an assistant coach for your child's team. It is just so rewarding. It's so much fun.
Or referee.
Or referee. And for any of those, don't be intimidated if you're not a quote unquote soccer expert. One, they're young, so there's it's pretty basic skills you're going over, right? But we provide a lot of training. We host some training sessions ourselves that do a really good job. For coach training, we actually bring in the Chicago Fire, and they do a little bit of coach training as well too. So we provide you some basics to set you up for success. But it's so rewarding to be a coach, an assistant coach, a referee out there and just see the kids having fun. So I would really encourage you to start there.
Great. Thanks, Derek. Can I answer any questions, or can we try to answer any questions that you may have?
Hi, we signed up our daughter for the playground soccer, and we put ourselves down as a playground soccer parent as the volunteer. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so that's really just a way to give you, I'll just say it how it is, to give you as a playground parent a pass. In other words, we don't ask you to do anything. Well, let me take that back. We ask you to obviously attend and enjoy watching your kids play with playground soccer, and participate only to the extent that your child may need, especially early in the season, getting comfortable with our United trainers and get comfortable with the different activities that they're doing, the different games that they're playing. Sometimes parents do get involved, some more than others, just in terms of making sure that they're comfortable. So that's really the only thing that we ask of you as a playground parent. If a playground parent wanted to get more involved, then they're welcome to do so. But we recognize that most of our playground parents are brand new to our organization, are just learning about AYSO. And so that's basically a pass for you to not have to choose one of the other volunteer positions or roles, if that makes sense.
No, that's great. And also I know that we had to submit a birth certificate, and I emailed that in. Is that all I have to do, or will I hear back that they got it? Or
yeah, so you'll probably get a confirmation that we received it. You won't receive anything else other than we do manually update the website. A volunteer does, and so eventually you will see that it will say there, that we have your background, the birth certificate in the registration, but you probably won't receive a very involved email about it. We have obviously volunteer checking the email. We also have some folks that upload the birth certificates, and we have volunteers checking those as well. So, it may be, if you haven't received something, you should receive something eventually.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if something occurs to you as we wrap things up, don't hesitate to interrupt me and let us know. But I just want to thank you all for joining us tonight. And I hope this was productive for you. And I hope you won't be a stranger to us. One last sort of advice that I have for parents, as someone that had kids go up and down the ladder as far as through the program. I hope you have fun as well. It's important for parents to enjoy watching their kids have fun and enjoy the experience yourself as a parent. And that's whether you're a coach or referee or just a spectator. So thank you for taking the time. I want to thank you in advance for taking soccer fun seriously and taking our values and our 6 philosophies seriously. It's really important that we all adopt and sort of hold on to those values because that's what makes this a good experience for our kids. And Derek, I'll leave it to you to add anything else.
I think we covered it all, and again, thank you in advance for volunteering and being part of the organization. We obviously are very passionate about it. Giving up even first half of the Women's World Cup game tonight, so it's something we are passionate about. But we hope that you find it rewarding for you as well.
Thank you all. Go USA. Have a good night.
Yep. Drew, I'm going to stay on for a few and answer a couple of questions just popped in.
Oh, okay.
So don't end it just yet. How do I reply? Direct message.
So did registration include the purchase of a uniform, or is there a separate step to order the uniform? If you are a parent of a U5 or older team, the price is included. You've already paid for that as part of the registration fee. Same with playground soccer parents. You will get a jersey, which is already paid for. So there is no additional cost or surcharge after you've registered. The only example of excess costs or additional costs would be if parents sign their kids up for a camp or academy or something like that. Hopefully that answered that question. Let's see.
I think that was it then.
Okay. All right. If there's any other questions, just let me know. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Thank you. Thanks, Derek.
Yep. Talk to you.
Talk to you soon.